Hello and welcome to Mac&Mac's college football program on the Grueling Truth Network. I'm Sean McCormick, and along with my son, Ryne, we're talking NCAA football once again. And, Ryne, it's really flying by. It's approaching Week 6 right now. Includes a very big game in the SEC, which makes you happy.
Oh, absolutely. The Alabama Crimson Tide are looking to roll over Rocky Top this week.
Okay, well, I don't know about that. Never Say Die Volunteers are, we'll give or take on that game, as well as a few others across the country. Ole Miss is at Arkansas, another SEC contest. North Carolina visits Miami in the Big Ten. It's smash mouth versus spread as Wisconsin hosts Ohio State. And the Buckeyes, while winning last week, they didn't quite have that resounding win, and we'll talk about that. Before we get going on, I do want to mention that something that happened last week. You know, we had the torrential downpour because of the Hurricane Matthew down south, and North Carolina State Notre Dame game was just an absolute mess. Now, it seems Brian Kelly, the Irish coach, didn't just leave the coaching polo hanging out to dry. No. He virtually took his center off the rain-soaked sod and put that 300-pounder right on a very heavy coat hanger. Call it what you want. You want to use another metaphor? He literally threw his offensive lineman under the bus at his post-game presser. Talked about the inability to snap a football. I know a college center should be able to snap the ball, but, he was talking about what happened because of the chance of victory, but they had a lot of other chances, not just that one. And from what I saw, it was just a little bit of confusion. And the big thing I can remember is Bear Bryant always saying, players win games, coaches lose them, and that's paraphrasing it. But Ryne, what do you think of Brian Kelly doing that, throwing a player under the bus like that?
Well, I absolutely disagree with it. You never throw one of your players out there to any media outlet that can gain more attention than is really needed. That is quote-unquote locker room talk. And
we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there.
That is stuff that should be addressed between the coaching staff and the team. Does not need a media output.
Yeah, I just don't, and I just think it was, and Brian Kelly seems like he always comes up with those little items and pressers, and then he comes back and apologizes. But he likes to play the blame game, and I think he plays the blame game more than any college football coach that we've seen in quite a few years.
Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, any loss at any age, whether it's a 3-point loss or a 12-point loss, the head coach kind of has to look back at the week and see what he might have done wrong.
Okay, now we were going to talk a little bit about Stanford and Notre Dame a little later. We're going to pull that up now since we're still on the subject of the Fighting Irish. I guess from what you found out that it may be a McCaffrey-less Stanford on offense for the Cardinal. Do you have any update on that?
Yeah, actually, ESPN's the one that first reported it last night, just saying a banged-up injury, whether they're using Bill Belichick's page out of Belichick's book, and he'll be full go on Sunday or not. I don't know. He did not return in the Washington game last week.
Okay, and speaking of Notre Dame, Stanford, I got to think that Notre Dame's going to come and win that game. For me, and I wanted to get your opinion on it as well, I think the Stanford Cardinal, one of the biggest disappointments this season. I actually thought that team was going to be within the top 5, top 6 teams in the country, and boy, I was wrong.
Yeah, they have been a big disappointment this year. I mean, they had top 10 hopes going into this year, and have just not lived up to expectations. But I do like the Fighting Irish at home on Saturday to get the win in South Bend.
Okay, I'm glad to have everyone along. You're listening to the Mac&Mac College Football program right here on the Grueling Truth Network. Ryne, which game do you think's bigger this weekend, LSU Wisconsin or Alabama Tennessee?
Let's see. Big Ten, SEC, Roll Tide.
Okay, we're going to drop into Rocky Top right now. I wish I could just cue it up a little bit for you just to and actually, you're a pretty good Tennessee fan anyway. You like the Volunteers, but not when it comes up against Nick Saban and just that juggernaut that he's got down at Bama. The Volunteers, they had another comeback attempt almost against the Aggies. 3 touchdowns in a span of 8 minutes in the fourth quarter to tie the game. I mean, there's a reason that they play well, but, if they're going to get behind, I don't think they're going to be able to catch up to Alabama.
Well, and Tennessee has been notorious throughout the whole year to be slow starters. And if you are a slow starter against that Alabama Crimson Tide defense, it's only giving up 15 points a game, you're in for a long day.
Now, you were mentioned being Belichick-like. I saw some comments online about Nick Saban, and he was saying how they don't play a complete game. And they have to be wary, and they need to play a complete game because the Volunteers, Butch Jones will have them ready, and it's at home. You got the orange and white checkerboard, end zones, everything going. You got the hound dog on the sidelines. But I just cannot see this being a very close game. I mean, it might be close for a while, but I honestly, one of the big things, Tennessee is without 2 starters on defense, defensive tackle Danny O'Brien and linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben. They're pretty much expected to be out. And coupled with that, Alabama's freshman quarterback, Jalen Hurts, he's putting up 250-plus yards of total offense per game. It's not a good week to not be at full strength on defense. I think the Volunteers are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and, to go along with the freshman quarterback, he's also completing 64% of his passes, which is telling me that Lane Kiffin is, and in my mind, Lane Kiffin's one of the best offensive coordinators in all of college football, and he's putting the freshman in a position to succeed.
No, he's probably cutting the field in half, making sure a lot of safe throws, although he does go deep quite a bit, too.
I think a big thing that people might overlook this week is Alabama has got 24 sacks this year. And that's going to be a big number, especially the way that Joshua Dobbs likes to stand in that pocket with that football. And he's actually been sacked 21 times on the year. So it's going to be interesting to see the front four on both sides of the ball and see if Alabama can get in there and get some sacks. But I think we're in for an ugly one here. There's a reason that Alabama's 12.5-point favorites on the road in Rocky Top.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like 38-24, Roll Tide roll.
I've got 45-21, Roll Tide.
You've got a little bit bigger margin there. I just don't see, you can play catch-up all you want, but you can't play catch-up when you've got the mustard of Alabama. Yeah, go ahead, Groan. That was a bad one, wasn't it?
Well, and right now, Alabama's got everything going for them. I mean, they're playing well on defense. They're playing exceptional on offense, averaging 45 points a game, giving up 15 points a game. They really don't have any weak links. And I think when Coach Saban was talking about this week that, they need to put together a complete game, that's just coach talk trying to get his players to, stay on the same page and not lose track of what's in sight, and that's them winning the national championship. Okay,
let's move up north a bit. Madison, Wisconsin is going to be the site of the Buckeyes and the Badgers. Paul Chryst and his 8th-ranked Badgers, they had a week off to get over that loss to Michigan. You think that week off, the bye week, is that a good thing, Ron?
Well, it's not going to hurt playing an Ohio State Buckeye team. Paul Chryst having obviously a pretty good track record coming off the bye. I mean, he's had time to prepare for that spread offense, the dangerous offense of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I don't think Wisconsin has the tools to stop Ohio State personally.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the OSU offense, it's just plug and play. No matter who they put in, it just seems to work.
Well, and they've got a system in play, and Urban Meyer's, he's had the same system. He had the system at Florida. He had the system at Bowling Green, at Utah. The man has won anywhere he's went with the same system, and he goes with what he has. And, I think it's pretty cut and clear to his players, this is the system you buy in.
Now, what I can't believe is, and you heard it on some of the networks, you see it online, some people were actually disappointed because Ohio State only beat Indiana last week, 38-17. I mean, now granted, Indiana came into Columbus and they were ready to play. They held quarterback J.T. Barrett to 9 of 23 passes, just 93 yards against that Hoosier secondary. Now, no doubt they ended up giving it up after a while, the run game and everything, but they couldn't keep up with that vastly superior Ohio State squad. You still got to wonder, with Wisconsin's defensive staff, did they, obviously, did they get something? Can they glean something from that video of that game to maybe push them?
No, I think it's a situation where anytime Ohio State faces any team, they're going to get that other team's best because they want to beat the best. And I think Indiana had a pretty good game plan coming into last Saturday, and kept the game close and played the Buckeyes in a pretty tight one.
I'm going to go. I know you're probably looking at the Buckeyes winning. I am going to actually. This is my upset special of the week. I think Wisconsin's going to top Ohio State 23-20. It's going to be a close game. If it's low scoring, I'm going to go with the Badgers.
Yeah, and Ohio State is actually 10.5-point favorites in Madison, which is a pretty high number. But I do have OSU covering that and taking that one 38-24.
Yeah, we agree to disagree that. I don't know why. I just think Wisconsin is a better team. The Madison crowd, the whole aura of the Buckeyes being there. I think this is going to be their toughest game up to date.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one, and we'll find out on Saturday if Wisconsin's defense is did go back to that film and find something that Indiana did well to stop J.T. Barrett.
Okay, now you are listening to Mac&Mac's college football program right here on the Grueling Truth Network. Back to the SEC here. Ole Miss, Arkansas. The number 12 Rebels visiting the number 22 Razorbacks. Ole Miss is another team coming off a bye week. That's a much-needed bye week, in my opinion, because they have had a rugged first part of the year. Past two games against the Razorbacks, in fact, is another reason because they just ended up in Rebel losses over the last couple of years. Arkansas coming off a big loss to number 1 Alabama. That was pretty much for granted. The Razorbacks are 0-2 in SEC play, 0-3, and that does serious damage to their season all the way around. Who do you have in that one?
I actually like Ole Miss 34-21 in this one at Arkansas. I know Arkansas is coming off the bye, or Ole Miss is coming off the bye. Arkansas is going to be beat up from that loss from Alabama last week. Anytime you face an Alabama team, you're going to be hurting the next week. And Arkansas comes in on 4-2 on the year, and Ole Miss has just blown a lot of opportunities. Their two losses this year, they've actually been leading in the games late against Florida State and Alabama, and just couldn't put 4 quarters together. So I look for them to put all 4 quarters together this week in Arkansas.
And I was looking at, I was comparing the Alabama games between those two. I just think that's why I'm going opposite. I think Arkansas is, even though they got trounced and didn't look good against Alabama, I just think that Bellini is going to have his Razorback crew ready. I don't think it's going to be an easy one. I think, there's going to be a defensive score. I think it's going to be like a 38-31 contest. I just can't see Arkansas losing this game, and I think Ole Miss is in trouble in the SEC.
Yeah, I think the bye week for Ole Miss is really going to help. Like I said, those 2 losses early on in the year, those ones tend to sting for a while, and I think they had a week that they could forget the first half of the season and play the next quarter of the season.
Okay, let's move over to the ACC for our last game view. Number 16, Miami, against North Carolina. Both squads coming off losses. Big ACC stakes, obviously. The winner is in the hunt for the Coastal Division lead. Miami, really, they're not as big of a dilemma as UNC. A loss to Virginia Tech is the sticking point. The Hurricanes still have the Hokies to play, so there's no comparison there. But the Coastal chances, that 1-point loss last week by Miami, is that going to have an effect? I mean, those are the kind, missed extra point, those are the kind of games that can catapult a team into a losing streak.
Yeah, I mean, I look for them to have a little hangover this week, playing North Carolina. I mean, such an emotional loss to Florida State last week in a 21-20 game. And I look for Mark Richt to have his team ready to go. I actually like North Carolina to win this one. Low-scoring game, 21-17.
Okay, I'm going to go. I think Mark Richt's going to do it. I think he's got his team on the move. Maybe has something to do with the odds makers saying Miami is that 8-point favorite. I'm going to go Miami 27-17. Those are about the only games this week that are real. I mean, obviously any college football is good to watch, good to talk about. But those are the big games this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. And until next time, have a great day.